A U.S. soldier was killed in Afghanistan last week because, guess what? We're still at war there. Isn't it incredible that that's virtually never talked about? I mean, you turn on mainstream media, I keep prodding somebody to do this this exercise. In fact, you know what? I'm thinking aloud now. Don't do that, Kyle. You're on air. I think I'm going to contact somebody I know who does similar stuff to this and see if they'll maybe do it. But we really should have somebody track, how long it takes for any media outlet, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the nightly news, to mention the fact that we're still doing a full-scale war in Afghanistan. Also in Iraq, by the way. Like, we have 2 full-scale wars already going on. Those are never mentioned. Now Syria is dominating the coverage. It's another front in another war. I mean, we've been arming rebels in Syria for a while and bombing in Syria for a while. But now, Trump just attacked the Syrian government, which is another front in another war, which means we're attacking basically both sides in a war, which is just mental. Like, okay, how about you stay out of it instead of attacking both sides? I know, that's wild. Minding our business is like, crazy. But they never mention Iraq and Afghanistan. We're at war there, and it's just... Think about it. We've been in Afghanistan since 2001. 2001. You do know it's 2017. They don't even bother. Like, back in the day, you'd have to say, all right, we're going to war, and victory is when we do X. Now they don't even bother. Like, oh, define victory for me. As Miss Lindsey Graham said, you don't leave. He was asked, I think it was, what was it, on CNBC a while back? He was asked, hey, what do we do in, like, Iraq and Afghanistan? When do you get out? This was when he was running for president. I forgot he ran for president. That's hilarious. He's like, well, you don't leave. You don't leave? What? You do realize our infrastructure gets a grade of D+. You do realize we don't have clean water in Flint, Michigan. You do realize half the country makes $30,000 a year or less. You think maybe we could take some of those resources and spend it here? Nope. War in Iraq. $7 trillion war. $7 trillion war. Trillion with a T. Afghanistan, few trillion more. Yeah, you don't leave. You just blow all of our resources over there. You know they call Afghanistan the graveyard of empires? That it's called that. Why is it called that? Well, I don't know, because it's the fucking graveyard of empires. Look at what happened to the Soviet Union. They bankrupted themselves by going to Afghanistan, staying in Afghanistan. There were obviously other problems as well, but that was a big part of it. No, nobody talks about it. So let me go ahead and give you some information on this. A U.S. soldier was killed while conducting operations against the Islamic State in Afghanistan late on Saturday. A U.S. military spokesman said in a message posted on Twitter, the soldier was mortally wounded late Saturday during an operation in Nangarhar province in eastern Afghanistan. U.S. Navy Captain Bill Salvin said in a message on the official Twitter account of the NATO-led Resolute Support Mission. Estimates of its strength in Afghanistan vary. U.S. officials have said they believe the movement has only 700 fighters, but Afghan officials estimate it has about 1,500 fighters. The Afghan Taliban, which is trying to overthrow the U.S.-backed government in Kabul, is fiercely opposed to Islamic State, and the two have clashed as they seek to expand territory and influence. Okay, so what does this mean? It means you have ISIS and the Taliban fighting each other in Afghanistan. Yeah, to me, I call that a win-win. I don't know about you guys, but I'm anti-ISIS and I'm anti-Taliban. So if they want to fight each other and they want to kill every last fucking one of them, by all means, bitch, I'm gonna go have a soda and a sandwich. You want something? Like, what are we talking about here? Yeah, they're fighting each other, but we got to get involved because, freedom and democracy and stuff, bro. Again, same thing in Syria. Man, we really, really hate the Syrian government. Assad, this is the position of the U.S. government. We hate Assad, brutal dictator killing his own people. Terrible, terrible. We also hate the rebels because the rebels are mostly ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other jihadists. So we really hate both sides, which is why we're gonna bomb both sides and also support both sides at different times. I'm not kidding about that. You had Pentagon-armed groups in Syria fighting CIA-armed groups. That seriously happened. You want to talk about a clusterfuck of foreign policy? You have the U.S. from time to time bombing ISIS in Syria, but then we just bombed the Syrian government. They're also fighting ISIS. So I don't care what the problem is. The answer is more U.S. militarism. You know, it's almost like we don't actually care about freedom and democracy and human rights. And it's almost like we have a system set up where war is profitable. And so people make a lot of money from doing war. So we just keep doing war and we keep arming people and we keep sitting back as we watch the world burn. You know, the consistent winners in this seem to be the military-industrial complex when everybody else hates it. So this is crazy. And again, ask somebody, what does winning in Afghanistan mean? They will have no answer for you. I guarantee you. 100%. Ask them, what does winning in Iraq mean? They don't have an answer. The best case scenario that you're going to get is people saying, well, you know, we got to beat the Taliban. But wait a second. Literally, whenever we leave, the Taliban will be resurgent. That's a guarantee. It happened before when we drew down temporarily in Afghanistan. The Taliban was resurgent. So then the logical conclusion of what they're saying is you just want to stay there forever. Because, hey, we got to keep the Taliban at bay, so just stay there forever to keep them at bay. Look, I feel horrible for people in Afghanistan who are victims of them, but none of our business. And we didn't fix anything to begin with. In fact, as a result of our interventions, we've killed more innocent people. Look at what we did to the hospital in, where was it, Kabul or Kandahar in Afghanistan, where we recently bombed a hospital where, Taliban people were there. It wasn't Taliban people. We just massacred civilians. Look at what we did in Mosul recently. We killed 200 civilians with an airstrike. Look at what we always do in Yemen and Pakistan. Slaughtering civilians all the time. Trump, in his first military act as president, killed 30 civilians, including an 8-year-old American girl. So it's not like, even if you say, no, hey, come on, man, we got to stay there to protect the civilians. But we don't protect the civilians. And then furthermore, if you really care so deeply about protecting civilian lives, there's an easy way to save way more than any military intervention would save. Just cut off the arms and the funding to Saudi Arabia and sanction them. Because as a result of funding them and backing them, they're doing a blockade on Yemen and 17 million people are starving to death. They're massacring civilians left and right with cluster bombs, which are illegal under international law right now. And we gave them those cluster bombs. So you want to stop with, you know, unnecessary civilian deaths. Stop arming Saudi Arabia. Stop backing Saudi Arabia. Sanction them. Stop arming Israel and backing Israel. Sanction them. With their recent, 2 years ago, was it, the slaughter fest in Gaza, 80% civilians dead. Netanyahu just went on a bomb orgy. Like, this is how you fix it. It's Noam Chomsky's old quote. There's an easy way to prevent terrorism. Stop participating in it. Far be it from us to say, no, we're going to invade all these places and fight back the Taliban, and in the meantime, stay there forever and also kill civilians in the process of doing it, further inflame the region. It's just a lose, 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 and never mind all of our resources being blown for no good reason. So, come on, get out of these unnecessary nation-building wars. And then, of course, there's oil production in Iraq shot through the roof when we invaded there. Gee, I wonder if that had something to do with why we went in. In Afghanistan, people say, oh, no, there's not many resources there. Wrong. There's minerals there, and there's also the opium profit and trade shot through the roof when we went there. There were U.S. soldiers guarding opium fields when we were there. Guarding opium fields, but this is, again, you get into the real reasons and the real motivation behind why we do all these things, and it's never a pretty picture. So I have a radical idea. How about we bring our troops home, take that money, invest it in our people and in our country, make people's lives better, increase their standard of living, do universal health care, do free college, take care of our own business. And look, if there's a genocide going on somewhere, I get it. So the international community should together, not the U.S. unilaterally, the international community should get together and try to prevent it. But to have U.S. unilateral military action in all these different instances, it's not because we care more. It's not because we're just better people. We're acting like every empire ever has acted. We use that as a cover, the humanitarian reasons as a cover, to do whatever we want, jack natural resources, have more power and control, and be standard imperialists. So my idea is, how about we stop that? JusticeDemocrats.com. We have a brand new poll out this week. Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in the country yet again. So this is The Hill. They say Senator Bernie Sanders has the highest approval rating of any U.S. senator in a new poll. The Morning Consult poll showed a 75% approval rating for the Vermont senator. Sanders, who lost the Democratic presidential nomination to Hillary Clinton last year, has remained popular. He is now a vocal critic of President Trump. Fellow Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy came in second on Morning Consult's ranking of popular senators at 70%. Then you have John Barrasso, Republican of Wyoming, 69%. Mitch McConnell is the least popular, 47% disapproval. John McCain, 43%. Lindsey Graham, 40%. Second and third least popular. Shocking / not at all shocking. And they surveyed 85,000 registered voters for this. So John McCain and Lindsey Graham, in other words, the senator, and Mitch McConnell, the senators who are most in favor of war, are the least popular. And definitely in the case of Mitch McConnell as well, the biggest sellout is the least popular. Now, meanwhile, Bernie Sanders, the one who hasn't sold out in any way, is the most popular. It's almost like people don't like sellouts, and they like people who don't sell out. It's really hard to figure out, man. This proves the problem is big money in politics. When you have a politician that says, hey, I don't take corporate money, I don't take big donor money, I don't take PAC money. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't take it. I raise from the people and I represent the people. People go, oh, I like that. Even if they have some philosophical disagreements with you, they go, that person's honest. I'm on their side. And by the way, the corporate Democrats, they'll never learn. Because this is now what, the third poll, the fourth poll we've covered within a year that showed Bernie Sanders, most popular politician in the country. First, there was the one with, okay, ask the constituents in the senators' respective states. Bernie Sanders was number one. Then there was another one, and then another one that was, okay, forget the respective states, ask everybody. Bernie Sanders was number one. So, and now, I don't know how much more evidence you need, and I don't know how many more polls you would need to show that Bernie Sanders was up over Trump on average 10 points. In the best polls, he was up 15 points over Trump. I don't know how much more evidence you'd need to know that Bernie would have won. They mocked Bernie for, his voters are too white and too male. And then guess what? In the general election, what was the main reason why Hillary Clinton lost? White male vote in the Rust Belt, in what was supposed to be the Democratic firewall, that Hillary was so convinced she would win, she didn't campaign in some of those states. Think about that. So the exact demographic that people said Bernie's strongest in that demographic, and that's why you can't have him be the general election candidate, that's the exact demographic that Hillary needed that she didn't get. It's almost like Bernie would have won. Okay, so now all the Democrats, if you actually care and you actually want to win, what you do is you all come out and say, we don't take corporate money anymore, we don't take PAC money anymore, we raise from the people and we represent the people. Here's what we stand for: single payer, free college, make the minimum wage a living wage, tie it to inflation, end the drug war, re-regulate Wall Street, end the wars. Concrete policy position. Nope, they're not going to do it. Why are they not going to do it? Because to them, it's just a duh. To the corporate Democrats, it's a duh to take the money. They go, what do you mean? It's just how the system works. I don't understand why you're holding us to a higher standard than the Republicans. You don't want us to? Yeah, just hold us to the same standard as the Republicans. Maybe we're slightly less corrupt than them, so shut up and vote for us. That argument doesn't work anymore, and it shouldn't work. JusticeDemocrats.com, guys. Sign your name in support of the movement. We're running candidates, 80 through candidate training, 30 in candidate training, 4 rounds of vetting. We're trying to find the best candidates to run. They take no corporate money, no PAC money, and they represent the people. Go read our platform. This is the movement. And the polls show it works. Why? Bernie already did it. He's the most popular politician in the country. This isn't rocket science. Let's move forward. There was a special election in Kansas to replace the congressional seat of a Republican that Trump appointed to his cabinet. I'm going to give you the results here and then explain why this is so important and why this is actually really good news. So Mediaite says, the GOP narrowly held on to a deep red House seat in Kansas Tuesday evening when State Treasurer Ron Estes triumphed over Democratic challenger James Thompson. When the night was over, Estes had it in the bag, 53% to 46%. We're going to come back to that number. The seat, vacated by Mike Pompeo, now serving as President Donald Trump's CIA director, has been in Republican hands for decades and was not expected to be competitive. The district went for Trump by 27 points. The narrative, however, was upended by polling in the race's final days that showed Estes' lead to be in the single digits. That precipitated a flood of national GOP campaign activity to save the seat. Senator Ted Cruz flew in to stump for Estes, and both Vice President Mike Pence and President Donald Trump recorded robocalls urging his election. In a triumphant victory speech, Estes mocked the pundits and media who said his victory was ever in doubt. Okay, so that's hilarious, that last line there, because he's either an idiot or it's just all bluster and he's bluffing. You have to understand something, guys. This election was in the heart of Koch brothers territory. So it's like they're headquartered in that district. And it is one of the deepest red districts in the United States of America. I mean, it is Republicanville through and through. Donald Trump winning by 27 points in the election. And furthermore, Estes was massively propped up, that's the Republican candidate, by big money. It's all big money. It's all a house of cards. It's all, okay, we're going to give you more money, so you're going to be able to run more ads and smear your opponent, so you're going to be able to get your name out there more, and you're going to be able to say, dirty liberal my opponent is, and then you'll win just based off that. And that's what happened. Now, why is this good news? Well, again, the race was 53 to 46. That is way too close for comfort for the Republicans. You almost had a Democrat knock off one of the biggest Republican districts and Republican seats in the country. Again, this is to replace Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo is so goddamn right-wing, he said that we should execute Edward Snowden. I mean, this is just crazy, a crazy far-right area. Now, virtually all of the mainstream media is misreading this. What are they saying? Well, you know, this shows you that there's the big anti-Trump backlash here, and that's what's happening, is that you have Democrats coming out in droves because of the anti-Trump backlash. Yeah, that's about right. No, you idiots. Is that a part of it? Sure. But what's the bigger part of it? Well, James Thompson ran as a Bernie-crat. He had the backing of Our Revolution and the backing of Bernie Sanders, and he raised his money not by big donors. He raised his money by going to the people, by going to the grassroots. You know what he was for? He was for a $15 minimum wage. You know what he was for? He's for single payer. So we had a strong progressive running in one of the reddest districts in the country, and it was 53-46. And he had little to no help from national Democrats. And, you know, they rationally like, well, you know, that was a lost cause anyway, so that's why we didn't even try, because, you know, if you try, then you might win, and we don't want to win. What just happened here? So little to no help from national Democrats. He was totally grassroots funded. He had the backing of Bernie Sanders and Our Revolution. He had a progressive platform, and he almost won in the Koch's backyard in a Republican seat through and through. This wasn't even supposed to be a question. There was supposed to be, you know, a 30-point victory from Estes. And the only reason Estes won is because he was propped up by the big money. Guys, we can do this. See, this is what we've been trying to tell you all along. The Democratic strategists, in their, you know, smug arrogance and incompetence, they will tell you always, but what are you crazy progressives, far left people? No, the answer is always to go further right. So they'll say, you're going to try to knock off Joe Manchin in a primary? Well, why don't you just hand the seat over to a Republican? What makes you think people in West Virginia are like, we're pro-corruption and corporatism, and we're happy Joe Manchin is a sellout? Nobody in West Virginia thinks that. People in West Virginia, guess what? Even though they're conservative Republicans, when you give them the option, hey, do you want a union so that your wages are better? Hey, do you want to make the minimum wage a living wage and tie it to inflation? Do you want paid vacation time? Do you want Medicare for all? Do you want to end these stupid wars that we're involved in? Do you want free college so your kids have a shot? They go, I like all that. I'm still calling myself a conservative Republican or a conservative Democrat, but I like that. They've never given people the option of a real progressive, a real liberal who's principled, who fights for the things that the polls show the American people believe in, but the Democratic strategists still smugly act like, no, you're definitely wrong. The answer was Hillary Clinton was too liberal. That's the problem. We needed somebody who was further right-wing, who sold out more to Wall Street. Joe Manchin, oh my God, the problem is he doesn't agree with the Republicans enough. He basically is a Republican. He agrees with them so much. He voted for like half of Donald Trump's cabinet picks. Are you kidding me? It's just a joke. It's just a goddamn joke. You're going to have the Democrats vote for Neil Gorsuch, and then the idiot Democratic strategists go, yeah, that's great. I think we should like remake the party with more people who want to vote for Neil Gorsuch. So then you never have a progressive option. You never have a liberal option. You're either talking about, should we elect the center-right candidate or the far-right candidate? No, well, when you give people the option, and again, guys, we have to stress here, this is one of the, if not the reddest district in America, and a Democrat barely lost, with virtually no help from national Democrats. So what does it show you? It shows you the model is no corporate money, no big donor money, no PAC money. You go right to the grassroots. You say, we don't sell out. We're representing the grassroots. That's what we're doing. And you fight for raising the minimum wage, making it a living wage. You fight for single payer. You fight for the people, and then it turns out they go, yeah, you know what? put all the partisan garbage aside, we're going to go vote for you. So even though with his bluster at the end here, Estes like, yeah, all stupid pundits who thought this seat was in jeopardy. Come on, son. You're either dumb or you're just bluffing because you know that it is embarrassing. 53-46 in the most Republican district in the goddamn country. You barely won. You're embarrassed by that. But again, this shows you the model. Now watch. The corporate Democrats are hijacking this already. Chuck Schumer was tweeting about it. They're hijacking. Like, yeah, no, see, totally. Anti-Trump backlash. The Democrats have a wave coming. Chuck, the Democrats have a wave coming if you step the fuck aside. Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats have a wave coming if you step the fuck aside. Corporate Democrats, get out the way, son. Because if you step aside and if we have a wave of Bernie Sanders-style Democrats, justice Democrats, then we can make it so that Washington is the most liberal it's ever been. You could have a record number of Democrats elected if you have justice Democrats. Because justice Democrats take a pledge. No corporate money, no PAC money. We're going to represent the people. Here's our platform. Single payer, free college, minimum wage, living wage, and the drug war, and the stupid nation-building offensive wars we're doing. People look at that, they go, I agree with it. So, guys, that's the answer. And this proves it, man. I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit. He went from nobody. He was a civil rights attorney beforehand. And something else. I'm forgetting what the other thing was. Was it a veteran and a civil rights attorney? I don't remember. And a teacher. I think he was a civil rights attorney and a teacher. And he said, look, I was looking on Facebook and watching what's happening to the country. And I said, fuck it. I'm throwing my hat in the ring and I'm going to run. That's exactly what we're asking everybody to do. That's exactly what Justice Democrats is. I don't care what you do for a living. You're a regular person. You're infinitely more liked than the cretins in Washington, than the sellouts in Washington. They're already in the swamp. You're not in the swamp. And you're pledging, I'm not going to go in that swamp because I'm not taking any of the big donor money. But that's what he did. He was nobody. He started with nothing. And then he worked his way in the reddest district in the country to 46% in an election against a career politician who was considered a shoo-in. So the wave is coming if we go in the right direction. If the Democrats double down on corporatism, they double down on selling out, being a party of Wall Street, being a party of Big Pharma, then they're going to be fucked. If you go the Neera Tanden Center for American Progress direction, the Joe Manchin direction, the Hillary Clinton direction, the Tom Perez direction, forget it. But if you go the Justice Democrats direction, it'll be legendary and it'll be historic. So I need everybody to go to justicedemocrats.com, sign your name in support of the movement, because look, that means something. When we show them the numbers, that's when they go, oh, wow, really? We actually have the people behind us. They have the money, we have the people. So sign your name in support of it. And furthermore, we're also doing, I'd like to bring this up as much as possible because I think it's really important. Justice Democrats, in conjunction with the National Nurses United, and in conjunction with brand new Congress, we're doing a petition to try to force congressional Democrats to co-sponsor, to vote for H.R. 676, which is John Conyers' Medicare for All bill. When we started out, it was like 72 Democrats who were in favor of it. Now it's over 80. So that shows you your grassroots pressure is pushing them in the right direction. Some of them have called Justice Democrats and went, you guys are just too powerful. My office was flooded with calls to the point where I had to come out in favor of the bill. What was I going to do? Get calls like that every day for a month where people are like, support the bill or else, support the bill or else. So do that, man. Sign the petition for single payer. And if you can, call your congressman or congresswoman and say, look, if you don't support this, we're going to vote against you. We're just going to vote. That's it. I mean, the single payer, Medicare for All is a layup. Every other modern country has one version or another of single payer. You're going to not be in favor of it and expect me to come out and vote for you. What kind of a joke is this? Vote for it. Be kind, be nice about it, but just say, look, vote for it or we're going to vote you out. So good luck. JusticeDemocrats.com/single payer. I'm enthusiastic as a result of this election. Let's keep going. Sean Spicer gave an absolutely bonkers press conference. And it was so bad that he even came out the day after and he was like, yeah, my bad. That was pretty outrageous and made the president look bad and he was mad at me and I'm sorry. So let's take a look at the worst part of that press conference.
Thanks a lot, Sean. The alliance between Russia and Syria is a strong one. It goes back decades. President Putin has supplied personnel, supplied military equipment to the Assad government. What makes you think that at this point he's going to pull back in his support for President Assad and for the Syrian government right now?
I think a couple things. You look, we didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You had someone as despicable as Hitler who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. So you have to, if you're Russia, ask yourself, is this a country that you and a regime that you want to align yourself with? You have previously signed on to international agreements, rightfully acknowledging that the use of chemical weapons should be out of bounds by every country. To not stand up to not only Assad, but your own word should be troubling. This is Russia put their name on the line. So it's not a question of how long that alliance has lasted, but at what point do they recognize that they are now getting on the wrong side of history in a really bad way really quickly? And again, look at the countries that are standing with them. Iran, Syria, North Korea. This is not a team you want to be on. And I think that Russia has to recognize that while they may have had an alliance for them, that the lines that have been crossed are ones that no country should ever want to see another country cross.
Okay, so let's focus on every aspect of this, because there's obviously one point there that's getting all the attention, and it is a horrific point, but the rest of it is also insanely and profoundly and disturbingly stupid as well. So he said, oh, well, even in World War II, like, Hitler didn't even use chemical weapons. Did you really just say that? Okay, so Hitler had gas chambers. He didn't use chemical weapons. That was like the most well-known portion of his barbarity and his savagery, is that he had literal gas chambers where he gassed people to death. Those are chemical weapons. And furthermore, even if you say, well, he meant like whatever, dropping it from planes on Russian troops or US troops or British troops or whatever, I don't even know if that's true that he didn't do that. It's not like Hitler had some sort of moral objection to it, because that's the implication. The implication is like Assad is so bad that he doesn't morally object to things that even Hitler drew a line at. I'm pretty sure Hitler drew no lines. There were no lines for that ultimate savage, barbarian, Neanderthal, immoral, unethical cretin. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Do it. Like, here's when Hitler references should be made. Almost never. They should be made almost never. It doesn't mean there's like literally never in a chance to use him when it's accurate and it's apt. But this is so wildly inaccurate. Okay, so that's the point that people are mostly focusing on, because it's crazy. Hitler didn't use chemical weapons, except those fucking gas chambers, which are like the most well-known part of his Holocaust. Okay, but then there's other parts of it too that are just nuts. So he said, look, chemical weapons, we didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. Huh? So I don't know if you know this. We just used depleted uranium in Syria. So not only are we using chemical weapons, we're using it right now, and we're using it in Syria. The same place you're mad at, oh, Assad used it. Maybe. By the way, it's alleged, and it's a little convenient because, I don't know, Assad had basically already won the war, and Assad had turned over his chemical weapons 2 years ago. It was very well known and widely broadcast, and the international community was like, yeah, he turned them over, we know. Because there was that incident between John Kerry and a Russian official where the Russian official said, what can Assad do to not get bombed by you guys? And Kerry was like, I don't know, give up his chemical weapons, but he won't do that. And then Assad was like, here, take them. So a guy who gave up his chemical weapons and basically already won the war is going to do a gratuitous, asinine chemical attack on civilians. Seems a little bit convenient there. Now, again, we know the U.S. used depleted uranium in Syria just recently. Furthermore, we also used it in Fallujah. Remember that? Remember the whole big thing about the depleted uranium we used in Fallujah? And, of course, we used Agent Orange and napalm in Vietnam. And we currently sell white phosphorus to Saudi Arabia, and Israel used that in Gaza. Saudi Arabia uses it in Yemen. Right now they do. They use cluster bombs, which aren't chemical weapons, but they're illegal under international law. We sell those to Saudi Arabia, and they're using them in Yemen. Sarin gas is another one that we use often. This fucking pearl clutching, talk about no moral standing to make an argument like this. I mean, this is like a well-known serial killer all of a sudden, or Dick Cheney, of all people, coming out and saying, I have moral objections to what is happening. Moral objection? You're Dick Cheney. You're real-life Darth Vader. Go sit outside. Nobody's interested in what the fuck you have to say. So he also lists there, well, I mean, look, the people. I mean, you really want to be in league with Syria? I mean, hello, Russia wants to be in league with them? I mean, they're also tied to Iran. Is this really a list of countries you want to be on? You know what I'm saying? And who are you with, dipshit? Oh, that's right, Saudi Arabia. The #1 terror state that spreads Salafism, Wahhabism across the globe, which is the ideology of ISIS. The people that don't let women drive and behead people in the public square for sorcery and witchcraft and drug smuggling and apostasy. They say all atheists are terrorists. So yeah, no, we're with them, and that's cool. But you, oh my God, you're with Iran, who they look like a positively modern enlightened society next to Saudi Arabia. Iran is bad, and they're a theocracy. But they're a Shia Islamist theocracy. We're talking about Wahhabism, Salafism for Saudi Arabia, which is the most fundamentalist, far-right interpretation of Islam that there is. So, God damn it, I hate this shit. Like, every word out of his mouth there was idiotic. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no clue what he's talking about. And he's totally unaware of the U.S. and our history. The fact that we lecture anybody on human rights, we just did an illegal war against a country that didn't attack us in Iraq, killed hundreds of thousands of civilians, set up a worldwide torture regime, and now we're going to turn around and lecture people? And we just did another offensive attack against a country that didn't attack us, and we're going to lecture people. We had the CIA torture report, or the Senate torture report on the CIA, all the things they did. We stole from communist Chinese manuals on how to torture. You know, we were doing mock burials. We were telling people we killed their family and raped their family. We were, forcing, doing sleep deprivation, doing what's a Palestinian hanging, doing all these different horrific hypothermia torture, anal rape, anal feeding. We did this, and now he's like, oh, human rights. Let me tell you, we're outraged by what Assad is maybe doing, even though we haven't provided any evidence that he actually did it. All of this shit is garbage. And perhaps the giveaway that it's garbage is the line that everybody was able to find out was garbage, which is, yeah, even Hitler, man. Even Hitler didn't use, chemical weapons despite the gas chambers. I mean, look, who's worse, Assad, Hitler? No, I'm saying toss up. Don't believe a goddamn word that comes out of Sean Spicer's mouth or anybody's mouth in the establishment.